discuss our knowledge heritage is actually a bewildering problem because it is not easy to summarize the long history of the production of knowledge in the Indian subcontinent. And it is difficult to identify which aspect of knowledge acquired a deepening influence in our culture, in our history. And also it is equally difficult to distinguish knowledge from certain practical know-how or certain skills. Therefore, it demands us to define knowledge first and then proceed. What is this thing called knowledge? See, a poet Wordsworth some time back said knowledge is different from what we generally maintain by way of common sense. The history of knowledge. At the same time, something which is not codified, something which is not theoretical, but very much part of the practical, exists in the past as an amazing skill. For example, the Stone Age people's ability to flake a pebble into a pool. It may be a simple thing when we say, but it is difficult. We do not know how to flake a tool. We do not know how to prepare the edges of a stone tool, a Paleolithic tool. A significant point in the past, often theory had no existence independent of the practice. Is before us as a baffling period of knowledge. In the sense, baffling period of knowledge practice combined. They somehow knew how to do it, although they wouldn't be able to codify the knowledge required for doing that. But once we have such codified knowledge, then that is available in the form of text. Otherwise, we have only concrete objects, archaeological objects, from small artifacts to big monuments, where theories and practices combine. So in short, the knowledge that we seek in both the realms is mostly embedded in the data. As I said in the case of a Paleolithic stone tool, it is not just a tool, but it is an artifact with embedded knowledge of its own. When we come to the metal age, metallic objects are there. These are not mere objects. Each object has a certain level of knowledge embedded in that. Now, long before the use of metal, it was used sometimes without knowing that it was a metal. It was used for making tools. The Stone Age people made use of copper without knowing that it was a metal, but they had no idea about what a metal could be. They knew only about the object with which, the material with which they could make their tools. So they came across dark green kind of stone or material for their tool, which happened to be copper ore. They prepared tools out of the copper ore, and maybe accidentally sometimes it met with fire, and they identified the malleability and the tactile property of the material, and then began copper smelting. Copper but became a metal only after many thousands of years. And then they started identifying that copper, if melted, would remove certain impurities and would become pure copper, with which they made some implements. But its edge was not very sharp, and their inquiry happened to be naturally towards making this easily bending metal into a hard metal. There they discovered the property of alloying. They identified some alloying metals like tin, arsenic, and so on. They mixed tin with copper and made bronze. But bronze making changed the whole level of material culture. Entirely different, and it gave rise to Bronze Age civilizations. India also witnessed the Bronze Age civilization of the Indus region. It is called the Harappan Indus civilization today. Now, people certainly must have used the objects with a lot of knowledge in it, but we have no way to identify the kind of knowledge that they had. We have only objects in front of us. But examining a bronze object, for example, the Harappan female figure, it's a very strong kind of heightened bronze, made by people who had no knowledge about the melting point of copper or no device to measure it, or copper ore should be heated to a particular level of temperature to remove the various sulfides in that, and to that how much tin should be added to produce good bronze. We, with the knowledge of present-day metallurgy, think about the various sulfides, oxides, and then metals. Copper ore contains some metals also, like nickel, antimony, and various such small metals. Now, what elements should be removed? They had no idea. They were not able to identify and name them. That's what we presume, because no text has come down to us talking about the various constituents within copper. But there is a method of imagining their knowledge by looking at the present-day craftsmen, present-day bronze smiths. Now they identify the level of impurities by looking at the flame, the color of the flame, and they get certain smell. They understand temperature at their face when they experience temperature at the time of casting. They identify the level. But these are all subtle indications. The smell, the color of the flame, the temperature, the disturbance that get at their eyes. So they withdraw and they go near. It's a continuous process of being and belonging to the activity. So the activity was a combination of being and belonging. In the process of such a relationship building, they were able to get various intimations which they were not able to tell their successors. For example, if a bronzesmith is casting, certainly he would be assisted by maybe his brothers and then his growing children. They all get intimations as part of their experiential association with it. They acquire experiential learning. Maybe they might have had conversation relating to this, we do not know, but existing ethnography and ethnoarchaeology inform us that there existed communication about various symptoms, indications, attributes and so on. Otherwise, there is anything called codified knowledge, a codified entity called knowledge, which the children could learn and then practice and so on. This is a stage where theory and practice got combined, and practice had precedence over theory because they never thought about how it worked. They only thought about how we should do it. So knowledge about doing something or knowledge about how we do it is different from knowledge about how it is rendered possible. How it becomes possible is a different question, is a different knowledge. But this phase of combination of knowledge plus practice has a long continuity in our tradition. Even today, we have excellent bronzemen. They know how to identify good copper ore and how it should be cast, at what temperature they should be. I mean, it should be mixed with the tin, and with what proportion, and so on. And an interesting thing is that in India you don't have any copper source. And particularly in southern India, absolutely no indication of copper at all. But some of the South Indian craftsmen astonished the whole world by making amazing kind of bronze. For example, the 11th century Chola bronze. The world was shocked by seeing the kind of quality achieved by the bronzesmiths of 11th century. 11th century Nataraja image is still a wonder. Similarly, in Kerala, we have a long tradition of metal mirror. It's also a heightened bronze, but brittle. It's almost close to a glass mirror. Armora mirror is well known. And also we have Adakaputtur mirror. Adakaputtur Kannadi, Armora Kannadi, these two are having geographical reference in UNESCO records today. This shows that craftsmen had their own language of knowing, and that language of knowing was language of doing as well. And they had no method of teaching the next generation how to do it other than participating them in the process of working with metal. And if 6 sons learned simultaneously, one might have become an expert. There was no way to guarantee that each one becomes proficient in the craft. With the result, finally the bronze making, bronze image making or bronze casting happened to be a magic. Then came another metal, iron. Unlike bronze, iron had a lot of other advantages. One, iron ore was more or less universal. It happened to be plenty in all granite-rich areas. But iron required a very powerful kiln because it would melt only at 1000 degrees centigrade. Some knowledge should be there to prepare a kiln which would sustain temperature to that very high level, and iron will get ferreted out as a fluid out of hematite rock pieces. But to convert hematite rock pieces into iron, it required a variety of processes. Again, we understand this with the help of ethno-archaeology. How people practice in certain villages iron smithing. There are survivors. So that way we have inherited a knowledge of say something like 1000 BC. 1000 BC is considered to be the earliest point in the history of Indian iron smithing. But how they managed to prepare a terracotta oven, a terracotta kiln that would sustain temperature to a very high level, 1000 degree, and that would help them remove the impurities from the iron ore and make steel out of it. But the kind of crucibles used by them and also the kiln prepared by them enabled to make amazing kind of iron. For about 2000 years or so, they had experience in iron smithing, and even now you have a wonder made out of it, the Mehrauli iron pillar. The iron pillar is still a wonder. We cannot just make another pillar of the same quality and fineness. At that level, we have knowledge of some kind. With modern metal, with the help of modern metallurgy, we may be able to identify the embedded metallurgy in the Mehrauli iron pillar. But at that antiquity, how people were able to cast iron and produce a huge pillar like that. So, the Mauryan pillar, 2nd century BC. How could 2nd century BC ironsmith make a huge pillar which is still not corroding? It is checking oxidization. It is not having any problem. It's high quality steel. Now, definitely ensuring that quality, they must have got some level of knowledge which we do not know in spite of our modern metallurgical understanding. In these cases, as in the case of the Nataraja bronze of 11th century AD or the iron pillar of 2nd century BC, we find some sort of a perfection, but that perfection at the level of knowledge hasn't come down to us. With the result, we are not able to produce a similar pillar again. Now, in the technology, if this is the situation, now when we come to say the textual, codified kind of knowledge, codified knowledge sometimes gives you idea about the various craftsmanship that existed. For example, there is a text called Rajan of, say, 2nd century, 3rd century BC of Nagarjuna. Now he talks about bronze making, but he is only talking about the ocean of Rajan. Rajan is actually, it is the ocean of knowledge about bronze casting. He is not giving any procedural knowledge about it. He is not giving any theory either. That is the case with various Sanskrit texts which refer to knowledge relating to craftsmanship. But at the same time, it gives us some indirect ideas relating to the nature of knowledge and also the nature of appreciation people in those days had about the craftsmanship. So for example, Nagarjuna is actually appreciating the level of knowledge that the craftsmen of the time had. There is another picture also that craftsmen had to work like the Dasa Karmakaras. They were almost like slaves, the sculptors who made excellent sculpture. They converted stone into objects of high level aesthetic perfection and also expressions. But they were more or less working like the slaves. And there are references in the Arthashastra to Dasa Karmakaras, enslaved kind of workers. Now there are certain texts referring to shining vessels. They are made of mud, but they shine like porcelain, which means they had knowledge about making slipware, the mudware which is generally coarse, but they were also able to produce fine wares made of mud but with some washing. They had different techniques of washing, mainly the saline washing, which would bring in a very glassy surface on the pot and also sometimes inside the pot, and then different techniques of firing the pot, inverted firing, firing with the husk filled in it, or sometimes burying the pot and then firing from inside. So they had different techniques for making a terracotta pot with the different colors, black and red ware or black polished ware, painted grey ware and so on. So there are a lot of terracotta pots with fineness and perfection. Coming from a very ancient time, from the Bronze Age period onwards, you have a variety of ceramics. Harappan is still famous for its thin nature. It's very thin, which is indicative of very fast whirling wheel, fast moving wheel. So a wheel with unbelievably high RPM alone would be able to turn the clay into a very thin kind of pottery. Its thickness is amazingly even, and the kind of smoothness that they could bring in, and various techniques of coloring and so on. All these are indicating levels of knowledge, but all of them haven't come down to us. The skill has disappeared. We do not know how to prepare that kind of pottery today. So among potters, such techniques do not exist now. So analyzing practices and procedures of the present day craftsmen will not help us reconstruct the knowledge and the skill that had existed long ago. Same is the case with various practices regarding the construction of buildings, vastu, architecture, or construction of objects with wood. Every day we have two levels of knowledge. One is the knowledge which cannot be ferreted out from practice. The other is just codified knowledge which you cannot convert into practice. The knowledge that you get from Rasaratnagara, for example, and the knowledge that you get from ethnography by way of the continuing practice. Out of practice, it is not easy to identify and codify knowledge. Like that, from text also you cannot go back to practice. Learning Ratnagara is no guarantee that you will be able to make it. It's not question of ambivalence. You will not be able to make bronze just by studying Rasaratnagara. This would mean that you have two ontologies there. One is the ontology which the craftsman traditionally possessed and continued, and that will help you only say Nasasara, Samaroti, Tarjanika, Namashivaya, Chennai, that kind of an expression, Shiva Shiva, you can just make a surprise at such objects. Similarly, when you read a Sanskrit text, you can enjoy the text, that's all. It is a literary work. There is no knowledge embedded in that, and it becomes only an instance for the writer to produce a text. Literally, it becomes a literary text rather than a knowledge text. Now, which ontology you want to choose is important. Now, as we are under the influence of science, we have no option. We have to follow the method of knowing something, asking questions how and why. What does it mean is only an elementary question for us, which gives you a literary description. How it works is the fundamental question that we have to ask. That generates knowledge. It is explanatory knowledge. It gives you idea about how it is possible, why it is possible. And then the engineering part of it, the technical part of it, how do you do it? But in the past, people certainly had knowledge about how do we do, but they never thought about anything else. It is important for us because we are not depending upon subtle intimations guesses and so on. And also our interest is to democratize the skill. For democratizing any capability, you have to have proper understanding of everything so that you can transfer that understanding from one person to the other, and with the result there will be more people capable of doing something. This is not a thing that you can see in the past. If one is able to excel in the craft, and then he is considered to be more or less like a charismatic person. For example, producing fire. Fire production remained a magic for long until matchbox democratized it. Now, before, production of fire was something amazing for anybody. They witnessed the very magical production of fire. Irony is a tree which was used in the past. A junction with cross fiber would be pierced, and then a hardcore wood would be curled like this. And then some dry grass pieces would be put there. And it generates temperature, and at some point it just produces a flame. It's not speed that matters. It is not the quantity of the dry grass that matters, but we do not know. You just cannot transfer that that skill of producing fire to another person. Now, as fire was produced ritually, it became all the more charismatic. I have seen a Ritwik producing fire at Panya. He was not doing it with any speed. Some adjustment is there, but he will not be able to tell others how you have to hold it and when you have to tilt it and so on. But you can only look at it. And some people are able to look at it carefully, and continuous observation might enable a person to do it. But it's quite accidental. And for a long time, fire was something amazing, and the story of bringing fire to the earth, the Prometheus myth, itself shows that fire was something great for human life. And in South India, from say some 7th century AD onwards, 7th century to 18th century, the major endowment in temples was Kedavara or Tirunandagalak, giving ghee and oil to the temple for sustaining fire in the temple. The temple used to be this station where fire was preserved and people could take fire from the temple. So keeping fire was something, a matter of anxiety for people quite some time. And it disappeared. It disappeared completely when matchbox came. Earlier on, people had various methods of producing fire, and at that time it was a magic, but it disappeared. Not like that, when people had copper as a weapon, copper was more or less as a symbol of status rather than an effective weapon. But when bronze became possible, bronze weapon was very powerful, but it was heavy and it was not available for everybody. But when iron came, iron democratized the combats. Iron could be used for making various weapons, and in that sense, iron democratized the conflicts. Very powerful weapon. Several daggers and knives and swords and so on were produced, and we find human life itself getting governed by this metal called iron. The main thing was that it democratized conflicts. It could settle conflicts by killing the other person. If this is the scenario of knowledge regarding arts and crafts, we have actual texts referring to abstract knowledge that starts from the Vedas. The Trayi, Rug, Yajur and Sama Vedas. That is the starting point of eschatological knowledge production. Nasatiya Sutta of the 10th mandala of the Rig Veda presents perhaps the earliest form of the eschatological thesis. Now you find this elaborated in the Upanishads, and they had a method of transmitting knowledge. The Acharyas transmitted knowledge to the Brahmacharis, and that continued. And that phase reached the most abstract level of knowledge, which is amazing kind of knowledge. The knowledge that talks about the consciousness of the individual and then the existence of a super consciousness as big as the universe itself. Some sort of an understanding of consciousness as a field in which all living beings, sometimes they even thought non-living beings, happen to be part of this consciousness. Now, systematized production of knowledge in the country goes back to the age of the Vedantas. The 6 limbs of the Veda: Shiksha, Kalpa, Nirutta, Chandas, Jyotisha and Vyagara. Shiksha deals with phonetics, Kalpa deals with the rituals, then Nirutta the etymology, Chandas the metrics, Jyotisha the astronomy, and Vyakarana grammar. So on the one side, we have literary kind of analysis and various types of studies and so on, and on the other, Brahmajnana kind of abstract knowledge about the whole universe, and that led to the Shad Darshanas. Mimamsa was the earliest one, but the most important one happened to be Advaita. And when we discuss the heritage, it is inherited in an altogether different way. Advaita, for example, Advaita is understood today as part of the very shallow kind of spirituality. People believe that it is something to do with sannyasa, and all the ordinary sannyasins are Advaitins and so on. But Advaita has nothing to do with that kind of belief. Advaita, to a great extent, was atheistic. It had no belief in any anthropomorphic God. It doesn't talk about God at all. It's an abstract understanding or a metaphysical understanding of the human relationship of the human consciousness with the super consciousness, the Atma at the level of the individual and the Brahma at the level of the universe. This is the ontological inseparability that they try to portray in the thought. And the Sankhya as well as the Yoga thoughts, they related very much with this. That was perhaps the highest level of knowledge acquired by the sages, and yoga was only a part of it. Patanjali yoga has nothing to do with the acrobatics that we see. I think Patanjali never had any idea about the acrobatics of the kind. He defines asana as sukham stiram asana, a comfortable, stable posture. Comfortable, stable posture for what? For deep meditation. In that deep meditative mood, one is able to understand by extricating oneself to the level of a Jivatma capable of communicating with the Paramatma, and then Paramatma attaining Brahmajnana or Jnana about the Parabrahman. This has nothing to do with the usual kind of sannyasa culture, the usual type of the swamis you see around. They don't know the deep philosophy behind this. And same is the case with the Iyengar yoga, which is a millionaire business today. And one fellow who does all sorts of acrobatics in the TV, and also he thinks Patanjali was the Acharya of the yoga, and he has taken Patanjali as the trademark. He manufactures all kinds of medicines, and then every medicine is in the name of Patanjali. Patanjali was neither interested in treatment nor interested in acquiring all kinds of acrobatics. His understanding of the whole thing related to the Upanishadic wisdom or the Brahmajnana. So sometimes knowledge produced at certain level is inherited by diversifying it, disfiguring it, and sometimes changing it completely. The best instance is this. Now, scholars used to ask the question whether India has a tradition of epistemology or not. Okay? Treating knowledge itself as an object of analysis. Although we do not see epistemology as such in the Western sense in Indian tradition, there is Anuchiki, after Trail and Varta, Anuchiki is also mentioned. Anuchiki is considered as one of the four fields of knowledge, along with the rest, the Trail, and then Dandanidhi and Varta. Anuchiki is closer to epistemology because it deals with the nature of knowledge. And some of the sages associated with this knowledge are Ajita Kesagambali, Brihaspati, Charvaka, Kapila, Dattatreya, Punarvasu, Atreya, Sulabha, Maitreyi, and Ashtavaka. These are the names associated with Anuchiki, and maybe of 6th, 5th century period, who figure as sages in the Upanishadic wisdom. These are surviving as traditions. So 6th century, 5th century BC period might have been the time for people to critically revisit various understanding, perhaps self-reflexively re-examining the knowledge one has already acquired. Actually, it is in that context epistemology is rendered possible. In Europe, in Greek tradition, it happened like that. Scholars in different fields like materialistic metaphysics, astronomy, healthcare, Vedanta, and a few other branches, provide us with some solid understanding of the past. They continued until the colonial period, but when the Western knowledge came, the practice part of this knowledge had a setback. There was substitution of various forms of knowledge, and also there was a concerted attempt at deepening the knowledge and practice of the colony. And that was not identified at that time as a problem. Many people enthusiastically accepted the new knowledge. The main reason was the power of science. But now, looking back, we understand the epistemic injustice involved in that. This deliberate suppression of the pre-existing forms of knowledge with the Western understanding. And one field that suffered a lot was the traditional medicine. But traditional medicine continued. Continued, of course, as a fossil kind. It is not a knowledge scheme that is capable of regenerating itself. Ayurvedic knowledge is a fossil kind of knowledge. It has stopped at some point. We had the early tradition of this. Tradition comes from the Vedas themselves, and then through the Jain, Buddhist, Ajivika and other Parivrajaka practices, it flourished. And two Samhitakaras, Sushruta and Charaka. Both of them talk about their methodology of production of knowledge. Sushruta has serious consideration of the experimental side, and he specialized in the Shalyakriya part. Also did a lot of engineering about the tools which he could cut the body and so on. Very interesting tools were developed by him, and some of them were imitations of the beaks of birds. That also shows how keenly he had observed. For example, a vulture's beak, or a kite's beak, or a kingfisher's beak, and so on. Now, how it's bent would help the operation part. Now, how a bird was eating by removing certain things, by sorting out things and so on. So definitely it was the result of observation of a bird was doing the whole thing. Anyway, I am not going into details. Another important level of knowledge production is seen in understanding language and grammar, which starts from Panini and the aphoristic form of presentation of knowledge as Ashtadhyayi represents. Now, I wonder that happens in the production of knowledge is in mathematics, how to measure complex situations, complex movements and complex volumes. It starts with Madhava Sankramantra in 14th century. He was able to understand a circle in clear metric terms, acquiring precision about the pi value up to 9 digits. And also he was able to systematically record the sine cosine series. Now, how the the planetary movement should be measured in terms of position and velocity with as much precision as possible. That was really a major discovery of logic as far as Kerala's knowledge heritage was concerned. And in Vedvaroha, Madhva says that it is a very difficult kind of Ganita. Everybody will not be able to understand it. If you don't understand, forget about it. But remember that this is the only way of measuring it. So clear was his understanding about it, and also he knew that it was a major discovery. And that was improved upon by various mathematicians like Parameswara, Neelakanta Swamiyaji, and so on. In Jyeshtadeva, it culminates. And Jyeshtadeva interestingly writes this in prose and that even in Malayalam. Yukti Bhasha. Yukti Bhasha is considered to be the first textbook in calculus in the world. It is the world's first textbook of calculus. Now, interestingly, various discoveries of this are found in Europe after 150 years on an average. Neelakanta Swamiyaji was first to present a planetary system with all planets except Earth moving around the Sun, and then along with Sun, the entire planets moving around the Earth. That is the model which Neelakanta Swamiyaji developed. After something like 110 years, this was reproduced by Tycho Brahe in Europe. It could be accidental as well, but it could be the result of cross-oceanic communication of knowledge. The traders and missionaries might have carried the knowledge to Europe. Now, we have a series of theorems seen in Europe but developed 120 to 130 years before in Kerala. So Kerala becomes a strange land, and within Kerala that even Alathur, a small area where you have the convergence of all these scholars. How that happened, one doesn't know. And after that point, it was not very much an indispensable need either. It was important for them to have precise calendar for religious reasons and also reasons based on their beliefs and so on. And Europe often wondered how such a precise calendar was possible here. And it is said that Portuguese missionaries tried to understand this, and then they had contacted the Ramavarma Gurukkal of the Tripura Palace, and then they got information about it and so on. Then there are various such indications. Europeans trying to understand the secret of the precision acquired by the astronomers of Kerala in making their calendars. And on the other side, you have the appearance of the 5 fundamental theorems that enable the calculus in Europe. And mathematicians say that there are various other ways also, but this is strikingly the same. The 5 theorems that were formulated by the mathematicians of Kerala are seen in Europe as well. So I'm just concluding by saying the 4 points. 1, knowledge just cannot be traced easily because most of it is lost, and then knowledge survives today archaeologically in the form of objects, and then from objects you have to identify various levels. And with the present day knowledge, if you identify, you reach out to codify the level of knowledge which did not exist in the past. They had knowledge of doing it, but they were not able to explain how they were able to do it, why it was happening, and so on. Another level is disfiguring of knowledge. Knowledge was acquired in the past, but it was inherited by several generations. In the process of inheritance, it got disfigured and it got completely reconstituted. Third one is certain amazing discoveries taking place, but they just got stuck there, unlike in the case of Europe. In Europe, calculus produced Newton, and Newton himself was able to make a sophisticated series of his own, and he was able to offer a wonderful thesis of the universe itself, macro mechanics. He presented that as something revealed by God. An angel came, and the angel told him the whole thing in the language of mathematical formalism. Depending upon this, some people used to say that this could be some sort of a gene editing taking place. If that is true, some super beings visiting the earth and then making gene editing, and then there is this possibility of making a big rupture in the existing knowledge. So altitude scholars also might have been subjected to gene editing by some super beings and imagination. There is no linearity about the progress of knowledge. You have certain inexplicable ruptures over there. The last point is that there could be universality of knowledge as a result of the transportation of that from one point to the other. When there are multiple ways of arriving at certain level of knowledge, if you find the same tracks, same methods or same procedures prevailing in different continents, widely separated continents, now there is the possibility of diffusion. Diffusion is otherwise possible as well, and therefore in most cases strikingly fresh knowledge happened to be a one-time occurrence and then diffusion followed. Thank you very much.
Knowledge. But simultaneously, human beings were there in Africa. Why nothing happened there?
Pyramids of Egypt, then their techniques of writing, then their bronze casting, their wonderful ceramics, and also the technology of embalming the dead body, mummy. So their knowledge was of an amazing kind, but there is no continuity of that. Therefore, people say that it could not have been possible by a society that consisted mainly of pastoralists, and a pastoral chieftain becoming the important leader and then finally becoming pharaoh and so on. So on the one side their overall worldview was of a bizarre kind, irrational type, but the achievement made by them happened to be really incompatible with this. Certainly they had religious and supernatural type of understanding, and also compulsion coming out of it. But the compulsion in one way or other led to discoveries of interesting type, inventions of amazing kind. And then in Latin America also you find the same type. You cannot explain easily how it was possible for the Egyptians to build pyramids. The huge blocks which certainly required a crane, but they had no such technology. They were able to do that. Even before that, in Neolithic period, the stone henges, rock is not available geologically anywhere in the nearby landscape. How did they cut the blocks in proper size in the pre-metal age? How they were brought and aligned? The simple shaman magic alone will not work. We do not know. That is the initial point. And then you have liberty to imagine that there is the possibility of imagining Earth as the nursery of super beings. So from protozoa to the mammals, and then the Homo sapiens sapien, all these could be consequences of the experiments that some super beings do in the nursery called Earth. And that is certainly indicating a post-human phase. Post-human phase we do not know, we can only imagine. So there, I am saying, there are such wonderful phases in apparently primitive-looking societies.
Sir, it is said that deviating human fancy. What could have been the rational cause of those various stages? So the Sankhya, Siddha, Charvaka, find out Karyaka and exploring further. That could have helped Sushruta, Charaka to find out that from the modern aspect of maths come. So those sages has their own role in those things. So we cannot ignore.
Yes, certainly knowledge production was really a very transparent, rational process at the phase of the Samhitas. For example, Charaka very clearly says, I am only combining the knowledge available, but knowledge available in various parts. For example, he says he learned certain things from the Ajapas, the sheep farmers, and the Gopas, the cattle keepers, and the Adavikas, the people living in the forest. So he was moving around trying to understand how medicinal plants could be used. So he found different groups of people using various plants as medicine. So he studied what Ajapas were doing, what Gopas were doing, what the Adavikas were doing, and so on. And then, as a literate person, he made a Samhita of it. So he is very clear about his method of organizing knowledge. And in the process of organization, he was certainly adding on new knowledge to it. That was the case regarding all the taxa that you see, the Samhita, the Sangraha, the Vyakhya. All these are names giving you the impression that these are all mechanical exercises around a text. It was not like that. A Vyakhya meant production of strikingly fresh knowledge. Sangraha just did not mean epitomizing a pre-existing knowledge. It resulted in adding a lot of new knowledge. These were taxa referring to levels of knowledge of production, although with great respect towards the the first Acharya, they used in a very humble way terms like Bharshya, Vyakhya and so on. It was not just converting the text from one language to the other or from words to an explanation alone. In the process they were generating a lot of knowledge, and there you don't find anything mysterious or anything supernatural. Very rational, a rational process of understanding and also rational ways of improving upon and same thing that you see in modern science. It's improving the pre-existing knowledge.
I was just wondering, when you're looking at the codification of knowledge, of looking at enabling transmission, is there a hierarchy in terms of codification propagated by the West, because of which the transmission of knowledge is partial, and because of which perhaps the Eastern culture may have lost? Is one of the questions that I have. So is there a more efficient way in which transmission of knowledge beyond the current mode can be created? Is one question. The other question is also the question of why creation of knowledge in the east of India when compared to the creation of knowledge in Europe. Why the second got prioritized? Because of a certain hierarchy or a certain a power in terms of how they were able to do it, and it was not facilitated.
The Nyaya school had reached certainly a very high level. It was only after some 700 years or so, Europe experienced what is called skepticism. So skepticism in the history of European knowledge production certainly was a landmark. But that kind of a landmark was already there in India several centuries before. But at the same time, we do not find a clear gradation of levels of knowledge, although the reliability was certainly a major obsession itself of most of the Tarkikas. And they also differentiated general understanding, pratyaksha, and then they always knew that it is a methodical dissection of the pratyaksha that will produce the knowledge that is not out there, knowledge lying below the surface. Another, they were conscious about the procedures, which means they had what is in the European sense factual understanding, and then conceptual understanding, and then procedural understanding, and then metacognition. These levels were already known to the Indian Tarkikas. They distinguished these levels. But metacognition got diffused in skepticism here, the theory of doubt. Whereas in Europe, it was a process of re-examining, reconstituting, and also finding alternatives in one's own scheme. That helped Europe to concretize it faster. And naturally, when they began thinking in terms of the convergence of theory and then practice, instrumentation development became faster. And they had the Industrial Revolution and various processes. And economic reasons also are there. But when science was articulated as an open knowledge, transparent knowledge, amenable to falsification by the competent. Anybody who had competence could examine science and go beyond that. Whereas in Indian situation, it ended up with the Shastra. It became prescriptive. It always became a package of Vidhi Nishedha, and the society had to follow it. Although Acharyas themselves were free in entering into the relationship of arguments and confrontations and encounters and so on, that is not the case with science. When science came up, then it became impersonal. Scientists and science got separated. Whereas in the case of Indian situation, the Shastra became very much associated with an Acharya, and it became Acharya Mata rather than something that transcended the Acharya and remained as knowledge. So that way, I think Europe certainly had intellectual superiority at the level of democratizing knowledge.
Imagination is knowledge and literary work ethical stories poetry interpersonal architecture പണ്ടറിനെ കുറിച്ച് പറയും. അങ്ങനെ ഇമാജിൻ ചെയ്യുന്ന ആ സമയത്ത് അങ്ങനെ ഒരു നോളജ് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നോ?
ഈ ഇമാജിനേഷന്റെ ഇപ്പം കല്ലിൽ കാണുന്ന പലതും കല്ലിൽ ഒരു ഒറ്റ കല്ലിൽ കൊത്തുമ്പോൾ ആവശ്യമില്ലാത്തതാണ് നമ്മൾ പലതും. ഇപ്പം അജന്ത എന്നോട വാച കാർല അന്തേരി കാൻഹേരി അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ ഒരുപാട് പാറകളിൽ ഉണ്ടാക്കിയിരിക്കുന്ന ഗുഹകളിലൊക്കെ നോക്കി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അവിടെ തൂണ് കാണാം. അതുപോലെ ഈ മച്ച് പിന്നെ ഇങ്ങനെ വോൾട്ടൽ റെയിലിങ് എന്തൊക്കെ കാണും. ഇതിൻ്റെ ഒന്നും യാതൊരു ആവശ്യവും ഒറ്റപ്പാറയിലില്ല. അവിടെ നമുക്ക് ഇമാജിൻ ചെയ്തിട്ട് അതൊക്കെ മരത്തിൽ പ്രാക്ടീസ് ചെയ്തിരുന്നതാണ് എന്നും അതുകൊണ്ട് ആ കാലത്തെ നോളജ് എൻ്റെ ഭാഗമാണെന്നും പറയും. ആർച്ച് എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒരു പ്രിൻസിപ്പിൾ ഇന്ത്യക്ക് അറിയില്ലായിരുന്നു എന്നാണ് സാധാരണ പറയാറുള്ളത്. പക്ഷെ അത് ഗുഹയിലെ നോക്കിക്കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഇപ്പം ഏത് ഗുഹയിലെയും ആർച്ച് എൻട്രൻസ്, പക്ഷേ ഈ ആർച്ചിങ് പ്രിൻസിപ്പിൾ അവർക്ക് അറിയാമായിരുന്നോ എന്ന് തീർത്ത് പറയാൻ കഴിയണമെങ്കിൽ ആർച്ചിന്റെ വിട്ടും ആ പവർ സസ്പെൻഡ് ചെയ്യുന്ന കോളംസും കൂടെ മെഷർ ചെയ്ത് നോക്കിയിട്ടാണ് പറയുന്നത്. ആ മെഷർമെന്റിന്റെ അടിസ്ഥാനത്തിൽ പറയുന്നത് ഇത് ആർച്ചിങ് പ്രിൻസിപ്പിൾ അറിഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ടുള്ളതല്ല, ആർച്ചിന്റെ ഒരു ഡിസൈൻ കോപ്പിങ് മാത്രമാണെന്നാണ്. പിന്നെ മാത്രമല്ല മരത്തിലാണ് ആർച്ച് ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്നതെങ്കിൽ ആർച്ചിങ് പ്രിൻസിപ്പിൾ ഒരു ഫാക്ടറല്ല. കല്ലുകൊണ്ട് ആർച്ച് ഉണ്ടാക്കുമ്പോൾ മാത്രമാണ് കല്ല് മേലെ സസ്പെൻഡ് ചെയ്ത് നിൽക്കേണ്ട പ്രശ്നം വരുന്നത്. മരം അവിടെ ഘടിപ്പിക്കുകയാണ്. മരം തൂണില് പിന്നെ വളച്ചു വെച്ച് അത് ഘടിപ്പിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ആർച്ചിങ് പ്രിൻസിപ്പിളിന്റെ പ്രശ്നമില്ല. മറ്റൊരു തൂണുകൾ ഒഴിവാക്കിക്കൊണ്ട് ഇപ്പൊ ഈ കോളം ലിൻഡൽ ആ ഒരു പ്രിൻസിപ്പിള് പകരം ഒരു പോയിന്റിൽ നിന്ന് ഒരു ആർച്ച് വേറൊരു പോയിന്റിലേക്ക് കൊണ്ടുവരിക. അപ്പൊ അത് ഈവൻലി ഡിസ്ട്രിബ്യൂട്ട് ചെയ്യാണ് രണ്ട് സൈഡിലേക്കും ഗ്രാവിറ്റി. കാക്ക വിളിച്ചു നീ നിർത്താം.
So we just have one last question.
Hi, good morning, Dr. Gurukkal, and thank you for sharing your wonderful knowledge. I participated only during the summarization, but I wanted to ask you about the same kind of topic that she raised about codification. When they codify what the Indian, Indian scholars had envisioned through certain, manifested through certain things, isn't there a risk of it being misinterpreted or misrepresented? That's number one. And number two is when Europeans, for instance, they translate whatever has been researched and produced by Indian people, that they end up taking the credit for themselves as though it is their product. And I personally experienced that. So I just wanted to shed some light on that.
Yeah. Indian codification was not codification of theory as an all-inclusive abstraction on the one side, and then step-by-step articulation of the procedure. You do not find this, except in the case of rituals. Knowledge is abstracted and then aphoristically presented. It is just presented as a principle. The Vipra would understand that. Others will not be able to. It is not clearly a substitute of the theory procedure in the Western sense. For example, Siddhanta. Siddhanta is the approximate term that we have theory, but it is different. European theory is different from Siddhanta, or Siddhanta is different from European theory. Like that, Vyavahara in Indian context, and then the procedures in Western context. These are two different things. One, in theory, there is a clear indication of what should be the procedure. And in Siddhanta, you don't have a Vyavahara. Siddhanta is not linked to Vyavahara in a homologous sense, as in the case of theory and procedure. With the result, Indian understanding was of a different kind, Indian practice was of a different kind. All this could be because of what you call epistemology not present exactly as Europeans construed it.